What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Tristan. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today, we're finna react to every mass extinction event that tried to erase humanity. You know what I'm saying? This is an educational video. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you get your popcorn, your chips, whatever you eating. So make sure you get your snack. This is finna be a W video. You know what I'm saying? A very educational video. If y'all do enjoy the video, make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on post notifications if you new. You know what I'm saying? Let's get straight into the video, man.
You probably didn't
25
you're
minutes.
actually sitting here watching this video right now because your ancestors somehow survived 3 different apocalypses that should have wiped out every single human on Earth. First, a supervolcano that blocked out the sun and froze the planet. Then an ice age so brutal, a supervolcano that blocked out the sun.
Damn, that's crazy. Reflects back into space. Sunlight. And let me know down in the comments below if y'all think space is real, bro. Let me know down in the comments below. Are y'all a NASA believer? Or do y'all think, you know what I'm saying? Let me just let me know down in the comments below. It says the sunlight reflects back into space. Less sunlight reaches the surface.
And froze the planet. Then an ice age so brutal it turned most continents into uninhabitable wastelands. And finally, a mass extinction that killed off every giant animal you can think of. But here's the thing, while everyone else was dying, humans just kept finding ways not to die. So let's start with about the first time Earth tried to kill everyone, which was around 74,000 years ago. There was this volcano in what's now Indonesia called Toba. And when I say volcano, I don't mean one of those cute little mountains that spits out some lava and calls it a day. Toba was what scientists call a supervolcano, which sounds made up, but unfortunately it is not. This thing.
My question is, how the fuck do they be knowing all of this shit? Like, if this shit happened so far back in time, how the fuck are scientists in this like day and age know about this? Cause the fucking way the rocks look now, my nigga, like, you know.
Erupted with the force of about 100 Mount Pinatubo's all going off at once. Now, you probably don't know how big Mount Pinatubo was, but it was big enough that when it erupted in 1991, it cooled the entire planet.
Nigga, this shit was 1991. This nigga said this shit like it was back in the motherfucking Stone Age or some shit. 1990, nigga, that was like, I don't even know how many years ago. I don't feel like doing the math.
For 2 years. So take that,
2 years,
multiply it by 100, and you start to get an idea of how completely screwed everyone was about to be. The explosion shot out roughly 2,800 cubic kilometers of rock and ash into the atmosphere. That's enough material to bury the entire state of California under 3 feet of volcanic debris, which honestly might be an improvement for some parts. But here's the thing that gets me. This eruption created a crater that's now a lake about 60 miles long. You know how when you drop a rock in a puddle and it makes a little splash? Well, this was the geological equivalent of dropping a nuclear bomb in that puddle. Before Toba decided to ruin everyone's day, life was actually going pretty well for early humans. We had spread out across Africa and parts of Asia.
Nigga, it's 1991. Why is this nigga saying this shit like it's 18 something, bro? It's 1991, bro. That's a couple years ago. It was like fucking 30 years ago, bro. Like 30 something years ago, bro. Why is this nigga making it seem like it was the fucking start of humanity or some shit?
Tools, controlling fire, probably arguing about the best way to hunt mammoths or whatever passed for small talk back then. There were different types of humans wandering around, not just our direct ancestors, but Neanderthals, Denisovans, and a few other cousins who were all just trying to make it through another day without getting eaten by something with big teeth. The world back then was warmer than it was now, which meant more forests, more animals to hunt, and generally more places.
Them niggas dead ass didn't have no switch back in the day. That's crazy, nigga. You just had to take it. You just had to take getting ate by a lion, my nigga. There's nothing you could do, bro. It's dead ass nothing you could do, bro. A big ass bear come by you just gotta, you know that one ISO speed meat. You just gotta take it, bro.
Where you could live without immediately freezing to death. Early humans had it figured out. They knew which berries wouldn't kill them, how to make spears that actually worked, and had mastered the ancient art of not dying from easily preventable causes. But then Toba had to go and mess everything up. The eruption didn't just affect Indonesia, it affected the entire planet. Ash fell as far away as India, where archaeologists have found layers of volcanic debris up to 20 feet thick. 20 feet. That's like being buried under a 2-story house made of volcanic glass and death. The really fun part is that this wasn't a quick disaster. When most volcanoes erupt, they make a big mess and then things go back to normal relatively quickly. But Toba was special. The ash it shot into the atmosphere stayed up there for years, blocking out sunlight across the globe. Temperatures dropped every—
How the fuck is a nigga surviving without the sunlight? This shit gotta be capped. You telling me niggas is surviving 2 years without no sunlight? Fuck out of here. I doubt it, nigga. How the fuck was they getting food? How the fuck was they getting food?
Plants died, animals that ate those plants died, and then the animals that ate those animals died. So there were our ancestors, just trying to live their best Stone Age life when suddenly the sky turned dark. The temperature plummeted, and everything they knew how to eat started disappearing. It was probably the worst case of, well, this is awkward in human history. But here's where things get really messed up. This wasn't just a bad day for them. The eruption itself only—
Bro, I always wondered, bro, like, when if, like, some shit happened like that, like, nowadays, like now, you know how we got all the technology and shit, right? Like, when if some shit happened like that now, and like, we go back in time, like, we just reset, like, now we obviously know how to build shit now, but, like, what if we just gotta reset and go back to the motherfucking Stone Age? Like, that shit'd be crazy.
lasted a few days, which sounds manageable until you realize that those few days completely changed the planet for the next several years. The ash cloud from Toba shot up into the stratosphere and just stayed up there, hanging around the entire Earth.
And then you telling me, nigga, there's no way niggas were surviving, bro. You have no food, no sunlight, and then you gotta breathe in that smoke, that ash, for 2 years straight, my nigga? They didn't survive, bro. There's no way. Either this shit didn't happen or niggas did not survive. I don't know how we here, nigga.
You know how when you get dust in your house, it eventually settles? Well, volcanic ash at that altitude doesn't settle. It just sits there, blocking sunlight and making everything terrible. Within weeks, the global temperature dropped around 10 degrees Fahrenheit. That might not sound dramatic to you sitting in your climate-controlled room, but when you're an early human whose entire survival strategy revolves around knowing exactly which plants are edible and where to find them, a 10-degree drop means those plants are now dead. All of them. The ash didn't just block sunlight though. It also messed with rainfall patterns across the globe. Places that used to get regular rain suddenly turned into deserts. Rivers dried up, lakes disappeared. And remember, this is happening to people who don't have the luxury of just driving to the grocery store when their local food supply vanishes. Remember that ash we talked about in India? Well, the really funny part is that this ash wasn't just regular dirt. Volcanic ash is basically tiny pieces of glass mixed with toxic chemicals.
My question again, how the fuck was niggas surviving? Please, you gotta elaborate, B. How the fuck is niggas surviving with toxic gas they gotta breathe in? He just said they didn't have the motherfucking technology and shit. This nigga capping. This whole video gotta be capped, because he said 1991. This shit started in 1991. 1991, them niggas had clothes and shit like that. They had masks and shit. You know, they had food, actual food. You know, they weren't just living off berries and shit. Well, that is actual food, but I'm just saying, like, they had more food. You feel what I'm saying? And then on top of that, nigga, no sunlight, and it's 10 degrees. It's negative 10 degrees, nigga. How are you surviving, bro? For 2 years.
Breathing it can shred your lungs. Getting it in your eyes can blind you. And if you're desperate enough to try eating anything covered in it, well, good luck with that digestive situation. Meanwhile, the lack of sunlight meant that plants everywhere started dying. And not just some plants. Essentially all the plants that early humans depended on for food. Forests turned into graveyards of dead trees. Grasslands became wastelands, and when the plants died, all of those animals that ate those plants died too, which meant all of the animals that ate those animals also died. The temperature drop lasted for around 6 years. That was 6 years of volcanic winter where the sun was basically just a dim light bulb behind a thick curtain of death particles. For context, most early human groups probably only lived to be about 30 years old anyway. That's actually a heavily skewed average, by the way. That takes into account like all the babies dying, so it's much older than that. but that's like the average lifespan of a human if you count everybody. But anyway, 6 years
That's
was a
crazy.
long time in their lives, and they spent it in a frozen hellscape. What's really wild is that we can still see evidence of this disaster today. Scientists have found.
When did this shit happen again? Nah, cause I'm not trying to be lied to, bro. When did this shit happen again? Hold on, I'm finna search this shit up. He said Tato. Well, I'm gonna just look up volcano. What was it called? What the fuck? Oh, Mount Tabora. Yeah. When did this shit happen? Nigga, he said this nigga said 1991. It says 1851, bro. This shit says 1850. I said 1851. 1815. 1815. I can't even imagine what 1815 was. I'm gonna be honest with you. That definitely wasn't the start of humanity, though. This nigga talk. This shit not making sense. Wait, are we on the same shit? I don't know what. I'm lost, bro. I'm lost, bro. This is how lost I be in
ash
school.
and ice cores from Greenland to Antarctica. They found it in lake sediments in Africa. They found it in deep sea cores from the Indian Ocean. This one volcano in Indonesia managed to leave its calling card on literally every single continent. The volcanic winter also triggered a bunch of secondary disasters that kept the party going long after the initial eruption. Ocean currents changed because of the temperature drop, which messed up weather patterns even more. Some areas that managed to survive the initial ashfall then got hit with severe
nigga
droughts
survived
and
this shit,
flooding.
bro.
It was the kind of cascading failure that makes you wonder how anything survived at all. And here's the kicker. While all this environmental chaos was happening, early humans were still just regular people trying to figure out how not to die. They didn't have weather satellites or climate models. They just woke up one day and the world was ending. But somehow though, humans looked at this apocalypse and said, nah bro, not me. Turns out when you subject the entire planet to 6 years of frozen darkness, most animals don't handle it very well. Scientists have been able to track what happened to different species during the Toba disaster by looking at their genetics, and the results are pretty wild. Almost every large animal species on Earth went through what researchers call a population bottleneck around 74,000 years ago. That's science speak for
How the fuck can you tell what happened 74,000 years ago? How? Bro, what? This nigga capping out his eye. It made me not want to watch this video no more. Can you tell what happened 74,000 years ago? And it's crazy because a lot of people will believe this shit. Oh, scientists said it. Okay, so we're going to believe it. Like, 74,000 years ago, yeah.
Almost everyone died. Take chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, supposedly smart enough to use tools and solve problems. Well, their population crashed so hard during the Toba years that all chimps alive today descended from maybe a few hundred survivors. Eastern chimps got hit even worse. Genetic studies suggest their entire species got reduced to basically one small group hiding out somewhere in Africa. Tigers had the same problem. These are apex predators we're talking about, animals that can take down a water buffalo and drag it up a tree. But when the volcanic winter hit, tiger populations collapsed so severely that every tiger alive today shares DNA from just a couple dozen breeding pairs of tigers. Just a couple dozen. That's fewer than most people have Instagram followers. Orangutans in Indonesia got absolutely destroyed, which makes sense since they live right next to the volcano that ruined everything. Korean orangutans went from thousands of individuals down to maybe just a couple dozen families. Cheetahs, gorillas, and much more, basically every large mammal
This must be on like the other side of the planet
from the Toba eruption, showing they barely survived. Even some early human populations didn't make it. Archaeological sites in the Middle East show that certain human groups just vanished from the fossil record right around the time Toba erupted. These weren't even different species. They were early modern humans just like our ancestors. They happened to be living in the wrong place when the ash started falling. The Neanderthals and Denisovans managed to hang on, but barely. Both of those human species show signs of severe population crashes around this time. They survived Toba, but they never really recovered. Both groups limped along for another 30,000 years before finally going extinct. And some scientists think the Toba disaster weakened them so much they just couldn't compete with other humans later on. But here's where it gets interesting. While everything else was either dying or barely surviving, some groups of modern humans not only lived through the volcanic winter, but they actually figured out how to thrive during it. Archaeological evidence from Ethiopia shows that right around the time of the Toba eruption, humans there completely changed their diet and started eating way more fish. Think about that for a second. The entire world is covered in toxic ash. Most plants are dead, temperatures have dropped 10 degrees, and these people look at the situation and go, well, guess we're fishermen now. Well, tigers and chimps and every other...
So everything in the water just fucking survived. That's what I'm getting. How? Like, this shit not making sense.
Supposedly tough animal is slowly starving to death, humans just pivoted to a completely different food source. They didn't just survive, they innovated. Archaeological sites from this period show continued tool making, fire use, and even some decorative objects. While the planet was basically ending, some...
How are you making a fire? Wouldn't that make a fucking explosion or some shit since his ash? Or is that like, or does that make sense? Like, you got ash everywhere and you trying to make a fire, nigga. Wouldn't that just like create like sparks or some shit? Like, I don't know.
Humans were still taking time to make jewelry. That's either impressive.
Nigga, what?
It was basically ending. Some humans were still taking time to make jewelry.
Niggas trying to make jewelry and the world is finna end, bro. Come on, bro.
That's either impressive adaptability or complete psychological denial, and honestly, both are probably useful survival traits. The genetic evidence backs this up too. While every other species shows signs of a massive population crash during Toba, human genetics tell a more complicated story. Yes, some human groups died out, but others maintained relatively stable populations throughout the entire disaster. We didn't just barely scrape by, we actually did pretty well compared to literally everything else alive at the time. But surviving one apocalypse apparently made humans cocky enough to cause the next one. Fast forward about 60,000 years after Toba, and humans had not
10,000 years ago
only survived, but had spread to pretty much every continent except Antarctica, which sounds impressive until you realize what they were sharing those continents with. This was the early Pleistocene, and back then Earth was basically a night.
My question is, nigga, he said the gas was everywhere, the ash, whatever you want to call it. If it was everywhere, the fuck did it go to disappear? That's my question. Well, I mean, you can't say it went to space. You can't say, how the fuck? Like, this shit not, it's not making sense. It's like with regular clouds, don't it just usually like, I'm not gonna lie, I forgot about the whole precipitation condensation shit. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't learned that shit since like 3rd grade. I'm gonna be honest with you. How the fuck? I don't know.
Nightmare zoo filled with animals that would make today's wildlife
Should not
like
making
house
sense.
pets. North America had ground sloths the size of school buses just wandering around eating leaves and being massive.
What the fuck?
We're talking about Megatherium, which weighed about as much as a small elephant, but was shaped like a sloth that had been hitting the gym for several million years. These things could rear up on their hind legs and be taller than a basketball hoop. Wandering around next to the giant sloths were mammoths. And not just any mammoths, but Columbian mammoths that stood 14 feet tall and weighed 10 tons. That is twice the size of a modern elephant. They had tusks that were 16 feet long, which seems like overkill for digging up roots, but I guess when you're that big, you might as well commit to the look. The predators were even worse. Saber-toothed cats with teeth the length of kitchen knives roamed around looking for something large and meaty to stab. The American lion was about 25% bigger than modern lions and had no chill whatsoever. Short-faced bears stood 12 feet tall on their hind legs and could run 40 miles per hour, which raises the question of why evolution thought a giant bear needed to be that fast. Dire wolves hunted in packs, 5 feet tall on their hind legs, and could run 40 miles per hour.
40 miles per hour? What, nigga? 40 miles per hour? You 12 foot tall and you running 40 miles per hour? Bro, the average NFL player runs like 20 miles per hour. So that's 2 times. That's like, nigga, put an NFL game, put Tyreek Hill in 2 times speed, and you would get this shit. The nigga Tyreek Hill already fast. So you put that in 2 times speed, my nigga, you get a bear. That's 12. That's fucking. But what happened, bro? What happened to these animals? They killed them all off. Like how? Nigga, these are monsters, nigga. You talking about mammoths that's goddamn as tall as a 2-story house, big ass rhinos and shit. I think rhinos are still what's it called, but like what happened to all of these goddamn mysterious animals, mythological animals, my nigga? Like goddamn.
Which raises the question of
giraffe,
why evolution thought a
150
giant bear needed to be that fast. Dire wolves hunted in packs and had jaws strong enough to crack mammoth bones. There were also these things called camelops, which were basically camels but bigger and more aggressive. Even the horses back then were different. They were stockier and probably meaner. Though to be fair, most things were meaner back then. Australia had its own collection of completely unhinged animals. Giant wombats the size of cars just roll around the landscape. Megalania was a 20-foot long monitor lizard that could probably eat a small car if it really wanted to. There
This nigga gotta be capping, bro. But they gotta
were
be
10-foot tall kangaroos that couldn't hop but could definitely kick.
Either this nigga telling the truth or they dead ass killed like everything. And I want to know. It's probably he's probably gonna say the meteors or some shit. Watch.
To next week. Thylacolea was called the marsupial lion, which sounds cute until you learn it had retractable claws and was basically a koala that had chosen violence as a lifestyle. Giant flightless birds called Gymnonornis wandered around being 8 feet tall and presumably very angry about not being able to fly. Europe had its own problems. Cave bears were about 30% bigger than grizzlies and had decided that caves were their personal property. Irish elk had antlers that were 12 feet across, which seems impractical for getting through forests, but probably worked great for intimidating literally everything else. Woolly rhinoceros were just regular rhinos but covered in fur and even more temperamental than usual. Eurasian cave lions were massive cats that had apparently decided regular lions weren't scary enough. Now imagine you're an early human trying to make a living in this world. You've got a few stone tools.
At that point, nigga, just take me. Just go ahead and eat me, gang. Matter of fact, nigga, if I spawn in, just go ahead, cook me, bro. I'm bored, nigga. Take me off the planet, bro. Hell no. You talking about motherfuckers that's as tall as a 2-story house, roaming around. They all mad. Yeah, fuck out of here.
Technology of pointed sticks. Meanwhile, everything around you weighs at least half a ton, and most of it wants to either eat you or step on you. Early humans weren't even close to being the apex predators yet. They were more like opportunistic scavengers trying not to get killed while occasionally managing to hunt something that wasn't completely
I'm not gonna lie, them niggas is lame, bro. Like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. When you think about it, nigga, humans is lame as hell, bro. Niggas don't got no Bankai. Niggas don't got no chakra, no ki. Ain't turn into titans. No fucking quirk powers, no nothing. Niggas just lame as fuck. Like, damn, nigga. Like, nigga, I want to turn into Super Saiyan 3, nigga. You feel what I'm saying? I'm trying to turn into Super Saiyan 3. Like, you got motherfuckers that's 20 feet tall. Step on you gone, like, my nigga.
With all these giant animals for food, shelter, and basic survival. But then, suddenly, every single one of these giants started disappearing. Between 50,000 and 10,000 years ago, roughly 83% of all large animals on Earth just vanished. Not from disease, not from asteroid impacts, not from volcanic eruptions even, but they just stopped existing.
I'll call cap, nigga. I'll call cap. I mean, it's probably true. Them niggas is probably too busy trying to eat themselves and all type of shit. But you telling me motherfucking niggas just stop existing? You telling me they just stopped existing, gang? Hell no. Motherfucker that's 20 feet tall stopped existing. Run 40 miles per hour, nigga. You can run and go to my nigga. You can go to another island in less than like 30 minutes, my nigga.
Talking about the biggest mass extinction of large animals since the dinosaurs died out, except this time there's no smoking crater to blame. In North America alone, 32 different types of large mammals went extinct within about 2,000 years.
It was discovered then? North America was discovered then? When was North America? This shit not adding up. Hold on. This shit not adding up. Hold on.
Existing. We're talking about the biggest mass extinction of large animals since the dinosaurs died out, except this time there's no smoking crater to blame. In North America alone, 32 different types of large mammals went extinct within about 2,000 years. Mammoths, mastodons, giant ground sloths, saber-toothed cats, American lions, short-faced bears, dire wolves, giant beavers, western camels, and horses all just disappeared, just gone. The continent that used to be crawling with massive animals suddenly became a much quieter place. South America lost 83% of its large animal species during this period. Australia lost 88%. That's not a gradual decline over millions of years. That's a biological apocalypse happening in what amounts to a geological eye blink. The timing is suspicious, to put it mildly. In Australia, the giant animals started disappearing around 50,000 years ago. In North America, most of the extinctions happened around 12,000.
Yeah. Quiet. How long have I been hour? Okay, say right here between 15,000 and 40,000. I just want to know how they know this shit. Like how the fuck they know? Like it's so many questions I got, nigga. Christopher Columbus. Hell no. Hold on. Hold on, chat. Hold on. I'm not believing none of this shit. I just wanted to see some.
1,000 years ago. In South America, it was about 11,000 years ago. Notice a pattern? Well, those dates line up pretty much exactly when the humans first showed up on each continent. Australia is where the pattern becomes really obvious. For millions of years, giant wombats and 20-foot lizards and marsupial lions lived there just fine. Then humans arrived around 50,000 years ago, and within about 10,000 years, every single animal over 1,000 pounds was dead. The only large animals that survived were the ones under about 200 pounds. On islands, the pattern gets even weirder. Madagascar had giant lemurs, elephant birds, and hippos until humans showed up around 2,000 years ago. Then those animals disappeared almost immediately. New Zealand had giant eagles and 10-foot tall flightless birds called moas until humans arrived 800 years ago. The moas went extinct within 200 years of human contact. Scientists have been arguing about what—
Oh, I'm not gonna lie, nigga. Did humans ruin Did humans ruin the earth, bro? Like, why every time this nigga mentions something about a human, like, it's just like something always dying. It's never nothing good. It's never nothing good when this nigga always say something about a human. It's always something going extinct or dying.
Caused all of these extinctions for decades. The official explanations usually involve climate change or habitat loss or natural population cycles. But here's the thing about those explanations. They don't really explain why the extinctions happened exactly when humans showed up, or why smaller animals were fine while big ones all died. The climate change argument falls apart pretty quickly when you look at the evidence. Many of these animals had survived multiple ice ages and climate shifts over millions of years. Mammoths lived through dozens of warming and cooling cycles before going extinct right around the time humans learned to make really good spear points. Some scientists think
I don't give a fuck how sharp that bitch is. That bitch is not killing a mammoth, bro. That motherfucker, that shit not even probably injuring the mammoth, bro. I don't care how sharp that shit is, bro. You talking about some shit that is tall as fuck, my nigga. Tall as fuck.
Humans were just really, really good at hunting big animals. The overkill hypothesis suggests that when humans showed up somewhere new, they basically ate everything large enough to be worth hunting. A few dozen skilled hunters with spears could wipe out an entire mammoth population in a few centuries, especially since these animals
I don't give a fuck, bro. No human is killing a bear like that with no. My nigga, you have no switch, bro.
Maybe
you have no sniper, bro. No RPG, bro. You're not killing a fucking bear. That's fucking
cats that ate
running a fucking too flat, my nigga.
Forests for farmland, and the giant ground sloths have nowhere to live. The evidence keeps piling up that humans were involved somehow. Archaeological sites show humans were definitely hunting mammoths, giant bison, and other megafauna. We found kill sites of mammoth bones and human spear points. We've even found cave paintings showing humans hunting giant animals that are now extinct.
But how do you know, like, how do you know that shit's not fake, you know?
Yet is that humans actually went through one other brutal apocalypse. And this is when the climate was about to test the humans one more time. Around 26,000 years ago, Earth decided to get really serious about being cold. Ice sheets started growing from the North Pole and just kept going until they covered pretty much everything worth living on. We're talking about ice that was 2 miles thick in some places, sitting on top of what used to be perfectly good land and where people could live and hunt and not freeze to death. The ice covered all of Canada, most of the northern United States, and basically all of northern Europe. Britain was buried under glaciers. Scandinavia was completely uninhabitable. Siberia was a frozen wasteland that made Antarctica look cozy. About 25% of all land on Earth was under ice sheets.
But you want to know what question I got, bro? And this shit I promise you, it's gonna shake some of your head, right? So niggas think space is real, right? If space is real and niggas got the equipment and all shit to go to space and stay in space for fucking however long, why don't niggas have like the equipment to go to Antarctica? You feel me? Niggas say, oh, it's too cold. Well, motherfucker, isn't space like 10 times colder than Antarctica? If that. If that. Like, how? How the fuck you discover some shit outside the Earth before you discover something inside? Like, that shit don't make no sense to me. Like,
compared to maybe 10% today. Global sea levels dropped 400 feet because all of that water was locked up in ice. You could walk from Asia to North America across what's now the Bering Sea. The Mediterranean was smaller. The English Channel didn't exist. The world map looked completely different because so much ocean water was just sitting on land as giant ice cubes. Temperatures everywhere dropped by about 10 degrees Fahrenheit on average, but near the ice sheets it was much worse. The areas that weren't completely frozen turned into tundra or desert. The Sahara Desert was bigger than it is now. The Amazon rainforest shrank to tiny patches. Even tropical areas became cold and dry. This wasn't a quick cold snap that lasted a few years though. The last glacial maximum, which is what scientists call this frozen hellscape, lasted from about 26,000 to 19,000 years ago. That's 7,000 years of the planet being almost completely uninhabitable for anything that wasn't 7,000 lasted from about 26,000 to 19,000 years ago.
He capping. I'm clicking off the video. This nigga is capping, bro. Motherfucker, why wasn't this the first thing he talked about in the video then? He ain't mentioned none of this shit. He ain't mentioned none of this shit when he was talking about the other shit that happened 45,000 years ago You know what I'm saying? Like 20,000 years ago. This nigga gotta be capping.
That's 7,000 years of the planet being almost completely uninhabitable for anything that
So you telling me, nigga, you telling me the Earth was on, it had in the sky, was frozen solid. Best viewers. Hey, we don't, hey hell no, get that bot out of here, nigga. Hey, anyways, like I was saying, you telling me the Earth was frozen solid, nigga. Water was not moving at all. No, you had no water. It was all ice, right? You had ash all in the sky. The sun was blocked. All this shit happened. And you telling me niggas is still living? Something not adding up. Something added up.
Adapted to living in a freezer. Most of the places where humans had been living just became impossible to survive in. Northern Europe was completely abandoned. Archaeological evidence shows that humans lived in Britain around 33,000 years ago, then just disappeared for about 15,000 years because the entire island was under ice. Siberia was mostly empty except for small pockets in the south. People had to crowd into a
not gonna lie, shit just a skill issue game,
which is a fancy word for the new places that weren't completely terrible.
A lot of houses look kind of
Spain, parts of Italy, a few areas of the Balkans, some spots in Africa and Asia, basically tiny islands of livable climate surrounded by thousands of miles of ice and tundra. Food became incredibly scarce because most plants couldn't survive the cold and drought. The animals that people had been hunting either migrated to warmer areas or went extinct. Rivers froze, lakes disappeared, even the oceans near the ice sheets were so cold they were basically unusable. This was peak natural selection time. If you weren't smart, adaptable, and incredibly good at staying alive in the worst possible conditions.
The fuck you mean? It's impossible, bro. It's impossible to stay alive. Niggas say you had to be good at staying alive. What the fuck was you gonna eat? Everything is frozen. No plants. All the animals, I mean, probably not all the animals, but most of the animals gone. Besides the fucking gigantic ones. You know what I'm saying? No, how the fuck was you gonna create fire? You know, what else, nigga? Like, it's just some shit not adding up. This nigga gotta be capping.
Died. Your entire genetic line ended. Only the most resourceful human groups managed to survive this period, and even they had to completely change how they lived. Archaeological sites from this time show that human populations crashed. There were probably only a few million people alive on the entire planet during the worst of the Ice Age. Some areas that had supported human communities.
And it's crazy because niggas still back then, niggas was like allegedly, everybody did not like each other. Like, you had tribes and shit. So it was like, if there was a millions of people, that had to been like at least 100,000 tribes, at least. Oh, shop.
Traditions disappeared. Languages died out along with the people who spoke them. The Ice Age also fragmented human populations.
Niggas did not
Groups that had been in contact
English
for generations suddenly couldn't reach each other anymore because there were hundreds of miles of uninhabitable ice between them. Some populations got cut off completely and had to survive on their own for thousands of years. But somehow, humans looked at this frozen wasteland and decided to get creative. What do you do when the planet becomes uninhabitable? Well, if you're a human, apparently you just make it habitable again through sheer stubbornness and some very creative
I'm clicking off this video,
solving.
bro. I can't, bro. Like, this shit finna, bro. This nigga is capping so hard, bro. This nigga just said, bro, it's, how can a human, bro, let me know in the comment below if I'm tripping or not. How can a fucking human survive? Motherfuckers not even surviving 20-degree weather, negative 20-degree weather. Bro, the whole earth was frozen. That means the whole earth had to been like at least negative 90 degrees. You know what I'm saying? Shit. Negative 40 degrees Celsius or some shit. You know, like, it's just impossible for a fucking human, like, especially now, like, I don't give, especially back then, them niggas didn't have no fucking clothes. Them niggas was wearing skirts and shit. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. I can't, bro. Shit frying my brain, bro. But if y'all did enjoy the video, and plus the video was getting hella long. We had 40 minutes. But anyways, bro, if y'all did enjoy the video, man, make sure y'all like, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and it's your boy Tristan. We out. Niggas is capping, bro.